Hello and welcome to another video. Today we are talking about plants, which is why I have all of my little green friends surrounding me right now. So in this video, I am going to be sharing all of the plants that I own. I will be talking about how I take care of those plants specifically. I will be sharing what environments these plants are good for, and then also giving you guys some options for different plants for low sunlight, high sun areas, for offices, and all of that sort of thing. And then also I will share some tips for beginners, as well as different plant types that are super easy to take care of that are perfect for beginners. And then I will also be sharing with you guys the journey of me transplanting this little plant that was originally connected to this larger one up here. I did that yesterday and I will share with you guys exactly how I did that. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is go through all of the plants that I own. This is not how many I want to own. I want a million more, but I have yet to get all of the plants that I want. So I just have a few here that I will share. So I guess the star of the show is always this beautiful pothos plant. I have had this for many years. My mom actually started growing this, and when I moved out to college, I was just like, hey mom, you have a million of those pothos plants, can I have one? And then I took it. And now I also have some starts that I have from this. So I have been propagating this one for quite some time now. It is thriving in this tiny little vase, so I am just leaving it here for now. I'm sure eventually I will put it into some dirt, but for now he's very happy where he is. Also from that plant, I am propagating these guys. So this is just basically a bunch of leaves that were on this plant here, and there were some vines that were really long, but they didn't have a lot of fullness to them up at the top. So I just took some clippings off of it, and now it is doing pretty well in this tiny little vase. So while we're talking about this, I did just want to talk about how exactly you propagate a pothos in pretty much any plant that grows in this kind of manner. So let me pull one of these guys out. When you propagate one of these, basically all you have to do is cut the vine and then put it in water. But the important thing is to make sure that you get one of the nodes on the vine. So I should have cut this plant just below this node. So there's a node here, there's another node right there, and then another node right there. So you kind of can see where all of these nodes are. It's basically like a break in the vine, and that is where the roots are going to grow from, which you can see right there. The roots are growing from that little node, as well as this first leaf that is coming out of this. This little branch right here was originally just a vine, and now it has some roots and two little leaves coming out of it. That is really all you need to do. You just take a pair of sharp scissors, cut it right underneath one of those nodes, and then stick it in some water. And I have found that at least for pothos plants, you don't need any particular type of water. You don't need filtered or anything like that. They kind of thrive in just about anything. They're honestly really hard to kill. That is all of my pothos from that particular plant. I also have this satin pothos plant that I recently picked up. So you can see the leaves are just a little bit honestly prettier here, and it has kind of a satiny finish. So I'm really excited about this one because eventually this little guy will hopefully get to be as big as this one, and I can get a lot of different cuttings from it. And as far as pretty much all pothos plants go for care, they need a moderate amount of light. I would not probably put them in like a bathroom or something that doesn't get any light at all, though I honestly have seen some that have done okay in those circumstances, so you probably could, but I would just recommend somewhere that gets some amount of light throughout the day. And for watering, you basically just want them to kind of dry out in the first couple inches of soil before you water them again. I water mine maybe every 1 to 2 weeks. If you do forget to water them for quite a while, they will actually come back fairly well. This one I left in my room at one point when I went back to college or something like that, and my mom didn't know it was there, and she didn't water it for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and it got really brown, and then she started watering it again, and now it's, you know, looks good. So definitely a good plant for beginners because they're pretty hard to kill. This guy right here is a great plant for beginners as well. This is a snake plant, or mother-in-law's tongue, it also is called sometimes, which is kind of funny. This actually is a plant that Brandon originally got me when I got my first like 9-to-5 office job. It was on my desk where I had no windows, and it was thriving in that circumstance. So it's okay with very low lighting circumstances. You could probably put this in a bathroom and it would be totally fine. And it also tolerates pretty dry conditions. You can let it dry out completely and then water it. You could probably go 3, maybe even 4 weeks without watering this, depending on kind of its circumstances and whatnot, and it would be totally fine. I accidentally recently was watering mine about every week, and it ended up being too much. The soil started getting moldy, so it honestly thrives on not being taken care of, and it thrives in low light circumstances. So it's a great plant for bathrooms, it's a great plant for beginners, it is a great plant for office buildings. It's just great. Next is this little heart tongues fern. This one is probably an okay one for beginners. Ferns do kind of tend to be a little bit finicky, so they don't like their soil too moist, but they don't like it too dry. Because this one is in such a small little container, probably water it about once a week is probably ideal for this one. But basically you just want the soil to kind of get mostly dry and then let it get water. Don't let the water sit in it, but keep the soil dry. And as far as sunlight goes, it does like a little bit more sunlight, so definitely don't put this one in any kind of bathroom or low light situation. But I haven't really had any problems with this guy yet. I haven't had this one for that long, so hopefully he'll stay nice and healthy. And then let's get to my finicky friend. This is my bamboo plant. We've been together for a very long time. I got this in college. He is very finicky. He is constantly turning yellow. You can see the tip of this leaf is not looking that great. But what I recently figured out through some reading is that bamboo plants like to have filtered water. You can see here that this guy is just sitting in water, which is perfectly fine for bamboo. They actually like living like this, but they don't like my hard water that I have been giving it for years and years. So I have started every single week trying to dump out the old water, put new filtered water in, and I think slowly it is starting to look a little bit better. It does have some new growth up at the top, so hopefully this will start coming out of it. I would not recommend bamboo for a beginner, or I would recommend if you do want bamboo and you are a beginner, put filtered water in it. As far as sunlight goes, it does like a good amount of sunlight, but it does not like direct sunlight. So if you get a lot of direct sunlight, maybe move it a little away from the window, but make sure that it does have some sunlight. So those are my plants. Okay, so now that we talked about my plant collection, let's talk about your plant collection. So if you are specifically looking for plants that are good in apartments, which is where I live, or anywhere that has really low lighting or not the best direct sunlight, I'm gonna recommend snake plants to you. So that is what I have right here. Snake plants do great in low lighting or no lighting. Also spider plants, I don't have one of those, but I know those do a great job in bathrooms or anywhere where there's low light. And then also a ZZ plant does a really good job in low light areas. A peace lily also does a good job in low light areas, and peace lilies actually do have flowers, so if you're looking for something that has some color to it, I would definitely recommend getting a peace lily. So those are the ones that I would recommend if you're looking for something for low light. Peace lilies are also very good plants for beginners. If you do end up forgetting about them, it's kind of like the pothos in the fact that you can just water them and they will come right back out of it. Snake plants and ZZ plants also fall under that category of good for beginners, so I would definitely recommend those. Aloe vera are also really easy to take care of. They don't need much water at all, as they are in the cactus family, and if you get a sunburn, you can always snip off a little piece and rub it on your skin. So added perks on that one. I think for me, my favorite plant is definitely the pothos plant that I have. It is so easy to take care of. It multiplies like a bunny, because you can just take clippings off of it all the time. So that is what I would recommend for anyone who wants to get into plants. As far as some tips for you guys for taking care of plants, I would definitely recommend having a designated watering day. For me, that is Sundays. That is just when I transfer out the water in my bamboo plant, and then we'll walk around the apartment with some water and basically just test the soil to see if the plants do need water. If they are dried out, I will water them. If not, I will wait until next week. And then I would also make sure that every single one of the planters you have your plants in have a drainage hole in the bottom. So all of mine, you can see here, I have a separate tray for this. There is a hole in the bottom of this where the water can drain out. And then I also have the same thing in this. The bottom is like a false bottom where the water can drain out. And then the same in both of these containers here and this one that the fern is in. All of them have great drainage. You want to make sure that you have drainage in your soil. If you do have a pot that you really want to put a plant in, but it doesn't have a drainage hole, you can always put rocks in the bottom, and that will create a space for the water to drain out, and the roots won't basically just be sitting in water, because that is not good. You will get root rot and they will die. Also, I want to mention what size planters you need for some things. So you want to make sure that your plants have enough space in the pot for their roots to expand. For example, this needs transplanted. You can see the roots all around the bottom there. You do not want that in a plant. You should not be able to grab a plant and take the entire ball out like that. So this definitely needs transplanted. Transplanting. Let's go ahead and go into the footage of me transplanting this snake plant. As you can see, this is what apparently they call a pup. I was just doing some research, and the little starts that come off the side here are called pups. And I'm going to be removing this pup and putting it back into this pot here, and then moving the big mother plant into this much larger pot. The supplies that I have are obviously my plant and my new pot, and then I have this potting soil that we just picked up at Meijer, and then I also just have a towel to put down underneath me and a spoon to use as my shovel because I don't have a real shovel. Let's get started. Okay, so the first step here is to obviously get this plant out. I'm also gonna need a knife to cut off this little guy. So you can kind of see here that these roots are starting to almost go in like a circle, which means that it is definitely time for me to do this to this plant, because that means it's starting to get root bound. I'm just gonna break up the soil here so I can see what is going on. So you can see right there, this is the little pup coming off the side, and I'm just going to cut this as close to the main root base as I can. And as long as it has roots on it here, it should do perfectly fine in its new home. And now we have a new plant. Okay, so now that I have them separated, I'm gonna add some dirt to this little pot. And then you wanna make sure when you put this back in here that you don't extend the dirt up like too far or too far up or too far down. You want it to be about where it was in its original pot. Need a little more soil. And just fill it in around the sides. Give it a light press down, but not too far down. You don't want it to be smushed in there too much. And then I'll make sure just to water this one, because the soil in potting bags obviously is always super dry because they don't want it to grow mold. So I'll probably just water this before I put it to its new resting place. And now I'll just do the same thing with the big one. And we're done. We got 2 plants now. So as you can see, it's a super simple process. Once you determine that your plant does need transplanted, all you need to do is get a bigger pot, put some soil on the bottom, and then stick it in there and make sure that you keep that soil level about the same as it was in your old plant. So what do you do when your plant is not looking great, but you're not sure what is wrong with it? Sometimes that happens where it's getting brown leaves and you have tried watering it more, watering it less, you've tried transplanting it, you've tried all of the things. The best thing that you can do in that situation is hop on Google, or you can get one of those apps that all you have to do is snap a picture of your plant and it will determine what it likely needs. So if it has brown spots, it will tell you why that particular plant normally gets brown spots, and then it will tell you what to do to fix it. I will have some of those apps linked down below and some other resources for you guys on taking care of your houseplants. If you are new to taking care of houseplants, do not worry, it is not as stressful or hard as you think it is. All you have to do is remember to water them, and that's honestly about it. And I think with that, that is pretty much everything that I wanted to tell you about plants today. If you guys have any specific questions, make sure that you comment them down below. If you are new to this channel, hello, my name is Stacy York. I don't think I said that, but I live here in Indianapolis, Indiana with my husband Brandon, and I film all kinds of content based around working 9 to 5 and taking care of a home, taking care of your mental health, taking care of your physical health, all of those things. Also, I don't think I said, I actually have an environmental science degree, so I know a little bit about plants. So if you guys want me to do some more videos surrounding plants and taking care of them, make sure that you let me know. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.